So I was doing a little test about what I call the Alex Jones effect, and this is where someone who fancies himself a journalist or a investigative reporter or a muckraker who looks into things and uncovers things that are, salacious or the general public would want to know that is hidden from them. And they often get into it as a sideline to something else or part-time, and when they start out, they often are sincere and bring to light legitimate things that the public would want to know with real information. As time goes by, it becomes their sole income and their profession, and they have to keep topping themselves, and they have to keep finding new things to get the public to pay attention to them, and it becomes a full-time profession. And when this happens, they start to stretch the truth further and further and exaggerate and often falsify and do kind of bait and switch maneuvers. And one of the best examples is Jimmy Dore. I wanted to make a little comment on something that happened today, or I think it might have been yesterday. It was a comment made by Donald Trump, and he said that Chuck Schumer was no longer Jewish, but he was Palestinian. My question is that actually essentially I'd say it is racist, and it's a euphemism for the N-word, isn't it? He's basically, it's a racist slur, isn't it? Yeah, the Trump administration says that its cuts are meant to downsize the government. If you ever have either been a part of or learned something about the way, the corporations do this kind of thing, often when some, CEO or new management takes over, they will often cut a bunch of jobs saying that they're downsizing. Sometimes they call it restructuring. And it really isn't meant, there's whatever reason they say downsizing often is not necessarily the case. They want to flush out all the people and reorganize it, believing that there's intransigent, what's the term, inertia in the force they have. And it's an excuse to just, get rid of people and then rehire a bunch of people, call their job definitions different things, and pay them usually lower wages. But I'm assuming, I'm pretty quite certain that that's what Trump is actually doing. It's also meant to cause panic and chaos, because the only way you could bring manufacturing back to this country in any significant degree is to lower wages greatly. So there's no winning in that for the American people. You're not going to. If he improves crime, that'll definitely be, that is useful. There is too much crime, but I don't see anything in him that tells me that's his real intent. But yeah, it's partially to create panic in the public, and to, kind of show who's boss. And it's going to be the only way to bring back manufacturing is to lower your wages way down. And if you do tariffs heavily, you'll also pay more for your merchandise. There's no wins in this process. Yeah, one of the other reasons for the letting go federal workforce is, again, not to actually save money or get greater efficiency. It's to privatize so that any money spent on these departments can be used as cronyism, essentially a bribe, but distributed to private entities, and then claim no responsibility if there is something that goes wrong, because they can then say, well, it's that private company that did it. And when you pay taxes into the federal government, you have rights. Maybe they're not as robust as you'd like, and you have to fight for them. But again, in a private corporation, you don't have those same rights. You can't go protest on their property because, I mean, you may do that, but you don't have the same rights because it's not public property. It's not government property. You have specific rights on government property, not on private property. So there's a whole host of things they don't have to do. So it is meant to make it a setup for, graft, what's the term for it? Favor situation, which, like, as anybody would say, of course that's what part of it is now, but private corporations don't have the requirements on them. So if I, let's even give an example that's already been done, and that's using military forces that are mercenary private corporations. I believe Blackrock is the one that had been used and did some slaughtering in Iraq. They then can say we don't have a governmental responsibility. We didn't do it. It was this private corporation, and claim that they didn't know about it, and then claim they're going to use another corporation or whatever, and there is no accounting outside of the amount that the government pays them. There will be no internal accounting for it, so they can do anything with it. Just another tidbit about the latest situation and the intents